let me introduce you to our guest of honor. She is a pillar of strength and service, representing Pasir Ris-Punggol GRC with dedication and grace. Ms. Yeo was the founder and CEO of social enterprise Caregiver Asia, which aggregates freelance caregivers and care services for deployment into homes, healthcare institutes, and welfare organizations. Before that, Ms. Yeo worked at the Economic Development Board as part of the Global Operations team. Please join me in welcoming Member of Parliament, Ms. Yeo Wan Ling.
Thank you, everybody. A very good morning to everyone. You know, Terence, you'll be glad to know that I woke up at 7 to do this too. But thank you so much for the invitation. You know, Zakit, it's very nice to meet you this morning, you know, and to chat with you over coffee. And, you know, to Rosalina, thank you so much. You know, it's very nice to meet you too, and I'm glad I got being in the moment correct. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very nice to be with you this morning. Well, I know that today is very special because it's the 20th anniversary of the AIA Toastmasters Club. Terence, I remember, it's not just Toastmasters, it's a very special one, the AIA. And I'm very happy to catch up with dear friends like Iris. Thank you so much for inviting me, and to make many new friends from the AIA Toastmasters Club. Indeed, I'm very glad that I am with friends, because as I was walking up to the stage and writing this speech, I was confronted with the reckoning that I'm speaking in front of a group of extraordinary people who make the mammoth task of public speaking one that is even more nerve-wracking and humbling. Indeed, I must say that Toastmasters, you are a very special breed of people. You are room whisperers, or I would say situation whisperers. And you have your magnetic personality and charms, and with this, you are able to change the mood and tempo of any situation and event, just like a magician, only with the sleigh of your speech and not with your hands. And so as I begin my address today, I wish and thank you for your indulgence. When Iris told me that she would like me to speak for 15 minutes on leadership styles across the private and public sectors, I thought really long and hard about it. And I actually did have some inspirations from one of your seminar themes, and this is called Discovering New Oceans. And I thought I would speak from my own personal experience as a young public servant breaking glass ceilings then, as an unplanned entrepreneur making my world a better place with friends, and as a female politician navigating a largely male leadership community. Well, as you might know from what the MC had mentioned, I spent a large part of my career in public service with the Singapore Economic Development Board. And I'm particularly grateful for the many opportunities and trust which the EDB had given me in my decade-long career with them. I recall, as a 25-year-old sociology major who just got stationed at our Chicago office, EDB had enough confidence in their officers to send me out on a solo meeting to sell Singapore's scientific capabilities to the CTO of Dow Chemicals. This was before the time of Wikipedia, and the only resource that was open to me in the mid of winter was the Chicago Public Library. And I remember spending a sub-zero afternoon cramming on the efficacies of gallium substrates for semiconductor use. And I also remember that many years later, on my first day of work at our Shanghai office, EDB trusted my untested Mandarin skills to convince 500 Chinese engineers in a packed top university to consider Singapore as a choice location to start a career in semiconductors. I only knew of this assignment when I arrived in Shanghai that morning. And on the way to the university, I was still trying to memorize the Chinese term for semiconductors, and it's called 半导体. And obviously, it's still seared and still fresh in my memory, even up to today. Well, I must say that indeed such experiences, trauma and stress-inducing as they are actually key to building resilience and confidence in leadership as they challenge us to literally rise to the occasion and to break through our own glass ceilings using whatever resources we have on hand. I particularly like Bruce Lee's quote, which blends with our Discover New Oceans theme, be like water. Be like water. And to be more precise, be like water making its way through cracks. And in this age of rapid change, transformation, the quality of being open-minded and able to change and adapt to circumstances we are put into is actually the very essence of being able to thrive in a world that is in a constant flux. And it was also in the embracing of this spirit that led me to the next phase of my life, and that of being an unplanned entrepreneur. I had just finished my third tour of duty with the Singapore EDB, and I was planning to come back to our headquarters when my grandmother got really ill. I think this is a story that is very relatable to many of us here because we're caregivers in our own right. I remember that my grandmother was a proud matriarch in her family, and kidney failure caused her to become a shadow of her normal self. She had mobility issues and was not able to perform many acts of daily living independently. She was in acute pain all the time, and she needed a caregiver to be with her. I remember back then, it was very difficult for the family to set up a care team for my grandmother, even though we thought that we were really well-resourced and connected. My father was a doctor when he was alive, and one of my grandmother's daughters-in-law is sister to Singapore's chief nurse registrar. And even then, it was not easy for us to get a home nursing team to assist my grandmother in her palliative care needs. It was then, and I think, Rosalina, you would probably resonate with this, I called out to the universe for help. And I also believe that this challenge would be a challenge that was faced by many Singaporeans as they grapple with caregiving needs for their loved ones. And as usual, when you call out to the universe will always answer you. And this came in the form of a knock on the door, and it was from one of my father's dear friends. Uncle Victor, that's his name, he reached out to me telling me he heard that I was coming back to Singapore after a 3-year stint in Shanghai with the EDB. And he said, girl, instead of going back to a desk-bound job, right, would you like to join me in setting up a care company? It's a new venture that I was thinking of doing. And before I knew it, Uncle Victor, if you know Teochew, right, he's known as Mr. TikTok. TikTok means, right, you do things like really quickly. And so before I knew it, I was the CEO of a home caregiving business, and one which we had an online marketplace, where freelance caregivers would come together to offer their services to families who needed a trusted pair of hands at home. And right before I left the company to join politics, we had 12,000 freelance caregivers with us, and we were present in three countries worldwide. The experience I had in running this startup was both invigorating and humbling. I got to know many of the 12,000 caregivers personally and their life stories, be it Nurse Kay, who had to give up her regular hospital job because she needed to take care of her son with cerebral palsy in the daytime, and she only worked at night when her son went to bed. Or Auntie May, who's an energetic 70-year-old retiree who took on, caregiving classes to have a second career as a certified nursing assistant. And it became clear to me on the second theme, which I think is important in leadership, and is that a single rainbow is made up of 1,000,000 raindrops. It is important in leading a team for us leaders to surround ourselves with friends, mentors, and people who believe in your cause and who excel in their own areas and are passionate about making your cause come to life. And I believe that no leader can succeed alone, and most effective leaders understand that the strength lies in the collective wisdom and talent of the people around them. And as I think back through the many different career tracks I have taken, one thing remains constant, and that I have been fortunate to collaborate with individuals whose expertise and experiences have complemented and enriched my own. And therefore, I never turn down any meeting because I believe that 1 hour that you spend with anyone could lead you to another wonderful knock on the door from the universe. And I also believe that with these partnerships, they have enabled me to achieve more than I could have done alone. And they also have challenged me to grow, learn, and expand my perspectives. And I believe that true leadership is not all about having the answers. It's about the humility to recognize our limitation and the wisdom to seek out those who can alleviate us. And this brings me to my third principle as a leader, and one that has served me well in my current life as an MP and a unionist. So I actually serve as the Assistant Sec Gen over at the NTUC, and I was just telling my old friend there that, I actually look after the Women and Family Unit over at the NTUC. And this, I believe, third principle is important because I'm a representative of the people and the workers who have put their trust in me. And this principle is well captured by Sylvia Plath's poem, Mirror. And it says, "Now I am Lake. A woman bends over me. I see her back, and I reflect it faithfully." I want to emphasize the critical importance of empathy and understanding the ground level experiences of those that we serve. The most profound solutions often arise from the challenges we face personally, and as leaders, it's essential that we remain grounded, walking the path alongside our constituents, workers, and people. And this spirit indeed allowed me to engage with my residents. I believe it's important that you understand what is happening. And Iris, I know that you are also somebody who really walks the ground because you serve the people as well. And I think, right, you will relate to this point very well. Essentially, it is about understanding what's happening in your constituency, in the demographics that you serve. And I want to leave, this speech with one story, a personal story. And it actually has to do with a number of wakes that I actually had to attend. Usually it's very sad cases, of course, when someone passes away. But the thing that gripped me the most was actually a couple of wakes that I went to. I did a double take at the photos. They were teenage suicides. Teenage suicides. And I believe one suicide is one suicide too many for this particular group. And it started me thinking, why was this case? What is making our teenagers so troubled? And indeed, when I spoke with the parents were unable to tell me that the real exact reasons. It was something that was esoteric, like maybe bullying in schools, something that happened online. But they themselves had no idea that their children were going through such profound sadness. And again, I called out to the universe, and the answer came because I went for vaccination over at one of our polyclinics. And our polyclinics is actually attached to a shopping mall. And if you live in Punggol, that shopping mall is Oasis Terraces. And so, right, after the vaccination, I took a walk around, and I was very happy to see a little constituent that I recognize. The last time I saw her, she was in primary school uniform. And this time when I met her, she was wearing her secondary school uniform, so she was in Sec 1. And so I excitedly went up to her and said, "Hey, how are you? How's life in Sec 1? She's a 13-year-old, and the first sentence that came out of her mouth was, "I hate it. I want to kill myself." It was very sobering for me, and I spent the next 15 minutes trying to understand what's happening and all that. And suddenly, as we were talking, she pointed out to a little plushy rabbit, because it's Year of the Rabbit then, that I had. It was a gift from one of the temples. And she said, "Auntie Wan Ling, that's wonderful, that's so cute. Do you think I can have it, that bunny?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, please take it." So I passed the plushie on to her, and she said, "Thank you very much. Auntie Wan Ling, whenever I look at the plushie, I will know that someone cared enough to stop and ask me how I was." And this got me thinking. It got me thinking. And I knew, right, that all young people like random cute stuff. And what I did was that I got my team together, my volunteers together, and we are crocheting 20,000 keychains, pizza keychains. And we call it the Positivity Pizza Movement because we are going to gift every single one of our youths living in Punggol Shaw with one of these plushies. And the message to them is this: if you're not feeling too hot, if you're not feeling okay, you must tell someone. And the whole entire community is behind you. So I wanted to share this story with you because I think as Toastmasters, you are leaders in your own industries, and it's important for us, to understand and to really know the ground, the people that we serve well, because you will be able to feel what's happening down there, and as leaders, you will be able to rally resources to help them with issues that they might face. And as I mentioned just now, you have magnetic charm and wit, and I think that you guys are wonderful people to carry out things that can change a person's life literally. And with this, I wanted to leave you with, again, the 3 things that I think would make a wonderful leader. The first one is to be like water. Flexibility is definitely important in this age of change. The second one is, remember, the people around you are the ones who make up that rainbow in your life. And every single raindrop is unique and different upon themselves in the terms of the strengths that they have. And of course, the last one is be a mirror. It is important to be like a lake, to mirror all the different reflections that's happening in the world around you. And with empathy, with creativity, and with kindness, I believe every single one of the Toastmasters here would be a wonderful leader. So thank you very much.